Hello everyone, I hope you're doing well today. Welcome back to New Earth Land, where we're raising human consciousness towards the ether where the illusion of separation is non-existent. But what does all that mean? What is consciousness? It's the age-old question. Do we have an answer to it? Well, let's begin by asking ourselves what anything is at all. What is a bone? What is flesh? What is a heart? What is blood? What is a chair? What is a curtain? What is the air? Well, all of these things are ultimately just energy, aren't they? When you break it down linguistically, a tree isn't made of wood, it is wood. Wood isn't made of carbon, it is carbon. Carbon isn't made of molecules, it is molecules. Molecules aren't made of atoms, blah, blah, all the way down. Atoms aren't made of energy. It is actually energy that we're looking at, albeit an infinite array of varieties, different compositions, different configurations of this thing we call energy. And of course labels are useful. Language, the noun, this objectification that we seemingly have of the outside world is an important thing. Why am I talking about this, by the way? Why are we all talking about, why are we going to change gears now and talk about consciousness? It's because ultimately we need to raise human consciousness, because the solution that I've outlined at newearth.land is all there to sort of get the ball rolling. But of course people don't know about it, unfortunately. And so I'm trying to sort of get people to a heightened state of awareness, heightened state of consciousness, and use that as sort of the gears to move up through, so that we can actually start participating in the changes that we want to see in the world and not just wait for governments to do anything. But anyway, consciousness, what is this thing then we call energy? That we're looking at things like right now, there's a door, there's a bottle, there's a window, but like I was saying, all of this is just energy, right? It's just matter, just like these things. It's fingers. It's not actually a finger, it's just my body. The body isn't made of all of these different tissues and these different molecules. It is actually those things. So there's only really one thing in existence, and that thing is energy. And of course, as we know that consciousness clearly exists, because we're conscious right now, you're listening to me, I'm speaking, then energy must be conscious to some degree, right? There's nothing outside of energy. There's nothing outside of creation. This energy cannot be created nor destroyed. It's just a variety of different phase states: solid, gas, liquid, plasma. And what we call spirit, which is a word that is not very commonly used in the West, because, since the Enlightenment, we kind of threw the baby out with the bathwater, and, albeit some of that was I feel like the right thing to do, because we became very superstitious, very religious. And so atheism came along and sort of, got rid of some of that and said, why don't we just start to critically think about reality? But in doing so, we lost touch with, I'd say, some of the more feminine aspects of the psyche, the right brain hemisphere in general, and the imagination, intuition, etc. But when we think about consciousness, then what is it really that we're thinking of? We're thinking of ourselves, because when you go to sleep at night, where are you? What's happened? You're just lying there. Your body is lying there, but you're not there. There's no one there, right? So something's changed, right? So clearly we're not actually our bodies. We're something more transcendent than that, a higher vibration that actually exists beyond the scope of human perception. Those things can be rendered visible, of course, through various illicit substances, or even when you're asleep at night and in bed, and your pineal gland, which is actually a third eye, technically it's inverted rods and cones facing inward. You can see all of these things, these people, these birds. You can listen to music you've never heard before. You can see architectural buildings, amazing monuments, things that, who built those? Who made that music, All of this has been orchestrated in a sea of consciousness. And so this is the crux of the message here, which is that all is mind, the universe is mental. It's the first hermetic principle, or natural law, as we might want to prefer to call them now, which is a law of nature that everything is energy. Energy is consciousness. Consciousness is what we call God. Of course, there's a load of knee-jerk reactions that are associated with that label. So let's just call it sentience. Sentience is universal. It's ubiquitous. It's omniscient. Everything is a varying degree of awareness. This wall behind me, well, that's relatively dead, because the vibration of those atoms is so dense that it matches my own body. So our minds are kind of incarcerated by this low vibratory atomic structure that we call the human body. And it's sort of like Albert Einstein said, reality is an illusion, albeit a persistent one. So we're in this sea of omniscient awareness that we escape to and take respite in on a daily basis when we go to bed at night. But right now, as that comes online again, and the chemicals and hormones are activated, it's sort of like this awareness becomes contracted, and that's ultimately what we are, is a contracted state of awareness, as they suggest in some of the mystical schools of Islam, or Judaism, sorry, like the Kabbalah, etc. You know, the concept of simsam is this contracted state of awareness, very much like how you might see a whirlpool in the sea, but we know it's not actually a whirlpool, it's just a pool whirling, right? But it gives a different condition within this infinite sea. It's not a separate thing, it's just a slower and more vibratory, contrary condition to its environment. So just how you're probably familiar with the spiritual analogies of, you know, us being a drop in the ocean, but we're also an ocean, you know, contained in the drop. They are one and the same, separated only by matter of degree of vibration. And so when we see a tornado, is it a tornado or is it just energy condensed to a slow vibration? And that's very much what we are. That's what our matter is. That's what consciousness is. It is an infinite field of awareness. It is space and time. We are distortions of that space and time, localized, and we look very much individualized. But it's just simply a contraction, okay? That's the consciousness that we're endowed with on a daily basis as we walk around and we get, you know, go about our business. But behind the scenes is not just air, you know, as Morpheus says to Neo in the Matrix. Do you think that's air you're breathing in now? You're actually breathing in what might be known as chi or prana. That is, we are the environment. We are everything outside ourselves, right? Carbon, calcium, oxygen, hydrogen, and nitrogen exist within us. They also exist without us, outside of us, right? There is no separation. It's only this extreme degree of contrasting vibrations that gives us and affords us the illusion of this individuality, this sort of privacy that we think we have. Our thoughts are our own, that we walk around with this individual life. This is what we might think of as the ego, a contracted state of awareness that considers itself separate from the world around itself. So that, in a nutshell, is my very quick answer to the question of what is consciousness. And we're talking about this because, like I say, we need to raise human consciousness. And the only way we can do that is by talking about consciousness. And so in the next video, we're going to be talking about levels of consciousness and how we can ultimately climb those rungs of consciousness, experience what we might think of as a spiritual awakening, although there's nothing sort of la-di-da about it. It's very much a sort of experience that's available to anyone who can think in a more natural way. And that's, of course, what New Earth is returning to our natural, more harmonious way of existence, where there will be no more rent, there'll be no more bills. Why? Because we'll come together and we'll collectively agree that that is the reality we want to experience. And we can achieve that through transparent taxation, which is ultimately crowdsourcing. So you can check out newearth.land to learn more about that. Join the community, join this movement towards Satchitananda, but towards existence, consciousness and bliss, right? That's what we are. That's what we truly are. We are bliss itself, but we're just down here experiencing these contracted states of awareness. So that, in a nutshell, is my video. I did say that I was going to finish this video a few minutes ago, but I didn't. So I do have a problem with rambling from time to time. And so with that said, let's now move on to the next video, which is about levels of consciousness. Okay, thanks very much for watching. Ciao for now.